Now, the next laptop we're about to look at is probably the battery champ, at least on the Windows side of things, at least for now. You know, we know all the hype and all the hoopla that is surrounding the brand new Qualcomm Snapdragon X Elite and X Plus laptops, and the rumors and the leaks are regarding the battery life off the charts type battery life. But of course, until we get the actual units into the studio very soon, we will get some actual numbers. But until then, this next laptop is probably, if not the best, business-focused 2-in-1 convertible here in 2024. And that's saying a lot because it's going up against the likes of a Lenovo ThinkPad X1 2-in-1, the Dell Latitude 9450. What I'm talking about here today and what we're going to review is the HP EliteBook x360, the 1040 G11. Yes, they need to shorten that name, and I know they are doing a rebranding of all their laptops, so stay tuned. We'll talk more about that soon. But this HP EliteBook is a pretty phenomenal laptop when you really think about it, as far as all the business features, the security features, and the fact that it has an excellent display, a lot of display options, good Core Ultra 7 165H processor, Intel Arc graphics, which are a step up over the Iris Xe, and really phenomenal build quality, great looks, and overall great aesthetics. And I'm going to tell you, it's one of my favorite laptops in general here for 2024, and for good reason. Now, it does come in at a hefty price tag, but that's par for the course for a lot of these business-focused laptops. So we'll get into that and more in this review. Hey everybody, it's Andrew, and this is my review of the HP EliteBook x360 1040 G11, all new for 2024. Coming up.
Now, before we get to the unit itself, I just want to let everyone know, in the interest of transparency and full disclosure, I'm not being paid by HP. I'm not being sponsored by HP. All the opinions you're about to hear are my own. HP is not getting copy approval. That means they're seeing this video for the first time, just like you. Now, this unit is on loan from HP, and once this review is done, I'll be sending it back. Now, when it comes to pricing, this is going to start around $3,000 or so. Very expensive, although this is a business-focused 2-in-1, and companies tend to buy these in bulk and will receive discounts from HP. And also keep in mind, HP tends to run a lot of discounts as well, a lot of sales. So just check out the link in the description below for the latest pricing. You know the drill, folks. Let's get this out of the box. All right, pretty nice packaging here. Let's take a look at what we get here. Here's the unit. Feels like a little bit of heft there. Okay, feels premium, but again, we haven't even looked at it yet. Looks like we get a pen here, so that will be good. Pretty nice premium feeling pen. You got a couple of buttons there, and of course, they give you the charging cable, tip remover tool, and I think you also get some extra tips in there, setup instructions and so forth. And then, of course, you get your power cord. And then you also get a nice compact power adapter. And this one, of course, is 65 watts and it's USB Type-C. And here is the unit itself. And I got to tell you, this is pretty gorgeous with this very light silver color. And I got to tell you, it is spectacular in terms of the design here. I absolutely love this look on this. And of course, very sturdy build quality on this. Let's see if we can open it with one finger. You sort of can, of course. Now, one thing I did notice right away, there is a matte finish on here, so no glare, no reflection, and I'm expecting this to get pretty bright. But so far, I'm loving the look of this. Now, the other thing I'm loving here, take a look at this. The dark colored keys here, that's going to be able to allow you to see this a little bit better in terms of the backlighting. One of the issues in the previous iterations was silver keys, right? Where you couldn't see the backlight all that well. Here we have dark keys, and I think HP's obviously been listening to its customer base. Of course, with the unit alone, you're looking at 1.485 kilograms, and that would be 3 pounds, 4.3 ounces. Now, with the power charger and the power cord, 1.780 kilograms, and that would be 3 pounds, 14.8 ounces. With the pen, total travel weight, 1.795 kilograms, and that is 3 pounds, 15.3 ounces all in. Not too bad for a 2-in-1 convertible to take with you on the go. Okay, let's check out the port selection. On the left side is an HDMI 2.1 port, two USB Type-C Thunderbolt 4 ports that are full function, supporting data, charge, and display out. And next to that is your 3.5mm microphone headphone combo jack. Moving over to the right side is the SIM tray for the optional mobile broadband, another USB Type-C 3.2 Gen 2, so it's not Thunderbolt, but it is a USB Type-C, and then of course a USB Type-A, and finally your Kensington lock port to round it out. Notably missing, there's no SD card reader, and I would say overall it's a pretty good port selection, and I love the fact that we have two USB Type-C Thunderbolt 4 ports on the left side and a third USB Type-C port on the right, splitting them up a little bit more convenient. That's not something we can always say about convertible laptops. Now, to get inside this laptop, it's actually pretty easy. There are 4 Phillips head screws. They're captive, so you don't have to worry about losing them. Loosen them, use a guitar pick or a spudger to pry off the bottom plate, work around the edges, take your time, and it's pretty easy. You'll get inside this laptop. Now, once inside, you notice the battery. It's a pretty big battery. It's the HP Long Life 6-cell 68 watt-hour battery, and we'll get into battery life later on in this review. And spoiler alert, it's pretty impressive. And as far as the 2 fans, you'll notice that for cooling, we'll get into thermal performance and the temperatures later on in this review, as well as the fan noise, of course. And of course, the RAM is soldered into the motherboard like most laptops here in 2024, so not a big surprise. You can outfit this with up to 32 gigabytes of LP DDR5X RAM running at 74,6700 mega transfers per second. That is fast RAM, so that is good to see here in 2024, especially with soldered RAM. That is one of the benefits, of course. The negative side of that is you cannot upgrade it yourself, though there's a trade-off there. When it comes to the storage, that is user upgradable as it's slotted in. It's an M.2 SSD slot, PCIe Gen 4, and as you can see from these very fast reads and writes, certainly fast enough for what you need this laptop to do. There is no doubt about it. Now, this review unit has 512 gigabytes of storage, but being able to expand it out yourself for more storage is certainly a win in my book. There is no doubt about that. And when it comes to wireless, this has Wi-Fi 6E and a Bluetooth 5.3 combo card. There is an option to go with Wi-Fi 7, which would make it a little bit more future-proof. But as far as the Wi-Fi and the Bluetooth, in this case, of course, it's working perfectly fine. I've had no issues with either one. But go with the Wi-Fi 7 if you can. That will, again, make it a little bit more future-proof. But the good news is it is slotted in. So if you wanted to change it out yourself down the road, you have that option. It's not soldered in. That's always good. And there is the optional mobile broadband. Now, my unit does have it, so I was able to test it out with my Verizon SIM card. It also supports eSIM, of course, and that's been working out very well. I like having that mobile broadband as an option here. So again, that is something I think business users will certainly be interested in, especially if you do a lot of travel and want to have an always-on secure connection. All right, let's talk about the display, and there's a number of options, with the highest being the 2.8K OLED or OLED display, 2880 by 1800. That is one that I would recommend for those who do a lot of digital artwork or want to do some content creation and so forth. They'll have the highest color accuracy, have the great coverage of the color gamut. Now, for those other business users who do a lot of productive work, I would go with the one that HP sent over. It's the 1920 by 1200 Full HD Plus model, again, 16:10 aspect ratio here. It is an IPS display, and it is a matte display with no glare on it, no reflection. So if you want to get work done, it will be the best option as far as I'm concerned. I love matte displays, and this one is a really good one. And when it comes to screen brightness, HP claims 400 nits. I actually measured 412 nits, which is above what is claimed. That's always good. And because it is a matte display, outdoor readability was actually pretty good on this model. Now, if you're going to do content creation, again, I would recommend that OLED display, that 2.8K resolution. It'll have higher coverage of the color gamut. It'll have better color accuracy. So I would go with that. And I like the fact that it is an option here. But for those that don't need it, having this Full HD Plus will be perfectly fine. The coverage of the color gamut was certainly okay, as well as the color accuracy. Although, again, the OLED will be a lot better in that department. And I think anybody who doesn't want any PWM or screen flickering that's associated with an OLED display definitely want to check out this IPS option here. That did not display any screen flickering, of course, so that has been very good. Now, one thing to note about this IPS display, it has a 60 hertz refresh rate, not a higher refresh rate here. And that's not a surprise because it is a business-focused laptop where the premium will be on the productivity side of things and the longevity in terms of battery life. So no option here for this IPS display to have a higher refresh rate. And with that being said, watching Netflix, Amazon, YouTube has actually been really good on this. And as you can see here, it looks pretty sharp, pretty vibrant, and it really just pops. Even though it is not an OLED display, it's actually a really nice matte finish on it. And again, I like having that matte finish because I don't like glare and reflection. So that worked out pretty well as far as this full HD Plus model here is concerned. And it does have a nice touch layer on it, pinch to zoom, and navigating the OS with your finger works very well, very responsive, and you can use this with the pen. Now, the pen is included in my review unit here, and as you can see, it has a really nice size to it. Feels like a really good option for taking notes, sketching out artwork, diagrams, and the like. It also stores magnetically on the side of the unit, so that actually worked out pretty well, and it charges via USB Type-C. And because this is a 2-in-1 convertible, you can use this in the different modes. You got the tent mode, great for consuming media, recipes in the kitchen, and the like. And of course, you could do the stand or presentation mode, great for meetings, and of course, consuming media as well. And then you can use it in the tablet mode, great for use with the pen to take notes, sketch out artwork, and diagrams. So this is the camera. It's a 5-megapixel camera. This is 1440p video in the Windows default app here for the camera. But of course, what do you think about the video quality? What do you think about the audio quality? Let me know in the comment section below. It is an IR camera that allows you to log in with face recognition with Windows Hello. It has presence detection, so it'll wake upon seeing your presence and then go to sleep when you walk away. So that's a nice feature, a good security feature. There's also a shutter switch, a physical slider above the camera to give you more security and privacy, which you gotta love. Again, business focus, so we're going to get a lot of security, the HP Wolf security, all that stuff. So that is the focus on this type of 2-in-1. What do you think about the video? What do you think about the audio quality? Let me know in the comment section below. Now, it does have the AI effects. After all, this is a Meteor Lake laptop. It does have an NPU or neural processing unit. So the AI effects are, you can do the auto framing. This will always keep you in frame. There it goes. Pretty good. All right. And then, of course, you can turn that off. And then you got eye contact, background blur. Now, this is the standard blur, and this is the portrait blur. What do you think? I think it does a reasonably good job with that. Again, the NPU will handle all the AI effects and stuff like that. There'll be more stuff coming as the year goes on. But again, let me know what you think in the comment section below. All right, let's talk about the keyboard. And ladies and gentlemen, this might be one of the best keyboards on a laptop I've used in a very long time. And yes, I am talking about the ThinkPad keyboards in that conversation as well. You know, I love the ThinkPad keyboard, so this really does shine here. And I got to tell you, HP's made a lot of great strides regarding this keyboard. It is a pleasure to type on. The tactility, the key travel, the overall feedback has been excellent. I never felt like my fingers were going to bottom out. I love the fact that they now have dark keys. They've gone to that the last couple of years. That makes it easy to see that multi-stage backlight on it. That was an issue years past when they used to use silver keys against the white LED backlight. It was hard to see. That's not the case anymore. And notice that we saw very little screen wobble when I was typing here. That is really something we don't normally see on a 2-in-1 convertible, so I think they did an excellent job in terms of the hinges. And I would say the overall typing experience has been a pleasure here for typing out long documents, emails, and the like. Now, let's talk about the glass precision touchpad that this has. It's pretty excellent. Responsive when it comes to scrolling, doing all the gestures. Everything you'd expect on this touchpad is here. It's nicely sized and very responsive. It's an excellent implementation here. Now, one thing to note, it is not a haptic touchpad like you get on the Latitude 9450, but that being said, this is one of the better mechanical type touchpads I've used in a very long time. Okay, let's check out the performance, and this is running the Intel Core Ultra 7, the 165H. This has vPro, and we've seen it before, right? So we know this is the Meteor Lake processor from Intel. We're not seeing a big increase in single and multi-core year over year. Where we are seeing it is in the graphics, because this is running the Intel Arc graphics, which are a big step up over the Iris Xe. Well, that being said, good single, good multi-core for what you need this laptop to do to be productive, and then excellent integrated graphics solution here, $36,098. Now, when you compare it to, say, something like the Dell Latitude 9450, one of its competitors, very similar single core, better multi-core on the EliteBook, and better graphics. That is because the Latitude 9450 is running a U series as opposed to the 8 series. The 8 series has more cores. It also has more power, and that, as a result, gives you better performance overall. But for everyday use, I think both of these, both the HP and the Dell, will be very good for Microsoft Office, email, and web browsing, so just keep that in mind. And when I ran the Cinebench 2024 between the HP and the Dell, obviously the HP had better multi-core, 783 to 595. That's not a big surprise. Again, 8 series versus U. But the big surprise here, or I shouldn't say big surprise, but the better performance in terms of single core, which is what you're going to use for most everyday tasks, 104 to 101. So that means the Dell Latitude was better in the single core performance. Remember, these are synthetic benchmarks and real world usage, as I mentioned, doing everyday tasks. You'll be perfectly fine with either one of these business-focused 2-in-1s. And when I ran the 3D Mark benchmarks, the TimeSpy and the Firestrike, and ran them between these two, obviously the better one is going to be the one with the ARC graphics, and that's the EliteBook x360, 3850 TimeSpy versus 2316, a better Firestrike score, and just overall better graphics. And when I compared it to the ThinkPad X1 2-in-1, the Gen 9, brand new here for 2024, my review of that is coming very soon, so you don't want to miss that. That one has the U series, the 155U, at least the one that they sent over. It is available with an 8 series processor as an option, so just keep that in mind. But the review unit they sent over is the 155U, that Core Ultra 7. And that being said, when you look at the single core, pretty similar in some regards. Multi-core was better on the EliteBook X360, and that's not a surprise. 11,825 versus 7572, and better graphics since that has the ARC graphics, the EliteBook does, versus the integrated solution on the X1 2-in-1. So you can see pretty much double or so regarding that. And we're seeing very similar results when I ran the Cinebench 2024 between these two competitors. Better single core and better multi-core on the HP EliteBook X360 1040 G11. And it's no surprise, the Intel Arc graphics, once again, here on the HP EliteBook is much better than what we saw on the X1 2-in-1. And I think the overall takeaway is just look at these synthetic benchmarks with a grain of salt, or sort of as a barometer to give you an idea of what to expect. But real world usage may vary user to user, so just keep that in mind. But I think the overall takeaway is performance for those type of tasks, office work and any kind of web browsing and stuff like that. Email is going to be very good on this 2-in-1 business convertible. And I think we all know this is not a gaming laptop. This is a business-focused 2-in-1 convertible. That being said, when you're not doing work on your downtime, you could play the occasional game here and there. The older titles will obviously work better, lower some of the settings. You can get some playable frame rates. Even some of the more popular titles, if you play around, you might get some playable frame rates here and there. So that is something you can do on your downtime. And when I ran the TimeSpy stress test to see if this will thermal throttle under heavy load, it got a score of 92.4%. It wasn't a passing score. That would be 97%. So it got pretty close. It did detect a little bit of thermal throttling, but not much. So nothing to be concerned about here. So overall, not too bad. And when it comes to the surface temperatures under load, I did notice a little bit of a hot spot over by the space bar, a little bit above that by the C key. And that, of course, got around 46, maybe 47 degrees Celsius. Everywhere else, it was perfectly fine, but it did heat up over there. So I wanted to point that out. But there was no other hot spots on that side of the unit. Now, on the underside, it did heat up to about 51, maybe 52 degrees Celsius in the underside where you're looking at right here. And I would say it got a little bit warm. I'd like to see that a little bit cooler, but everywhere else seemed to be relatively cool. But remember, this is under heavy load. When you're in the balance mode doing everyday tasks, it wasn't much of an issue. And you will have to contend with some pretty loud fan noise. Look at that, about 57 decibels under heavy load. Remember, this is pushing the unit to its maximum potential here, and you will notice those fans. I cannot deny it here. It's unavoidable. However, when I was doing everyday tasks, Microsoft Office, email, web browsing, the fan noise was not an issue at all. So just keep that in mind. Now, we've been hearing a lot of hype and a lot of buzz surrounding the Qualcomm Snapdragon X Elite and X Plus processors, especially when it comes to the claimed battery life numbers we've been hearing. They've been throwing it around. Of course, I will get my own units in very soon, so I'm going to be testing it real world usage here and get you some actual numbers we can compare it to. But that being said, this laptop right now, before we get those other laptops, is the king of the laptops so far. And that's because this lasted 18 hours and 51 minutes on the PC Mark 10 Modern Office test. It did 19 hours and 38 minutes on the video playback. These are some really phenomenal numbers here for 2024. Now, when I compared it to some of the others in the competition here, the X1 2-in-1 Gen 9, that one did pretty well. Obviously, that one got 16 hours and 47 minutes and 17 hours and 44 minutes video playback. This did better than that. Again, these are some pretty nice numbers, especially against some of this competition. And by the way, its competition has some pretty good numbers in their own right. And when I looked at the Dell Latitude 9450 in terms of battery life, it did well in its own right. It does have a smaller battery. That has a 60 watt-hour battery versus the 68 watt-hour on the HP EliteBook that we have here. And obviously, the one that HP sent over has the Full HD Plus or 1920 by 1200 resolution display IPS versus a higher res display that Dell sent over, the QHD Plus. So there's the discrepancy right there, more pixels to push. So just keep that in mind. But both have very good battery life for what they are. And I would say this, that right now, the HP EliteBook X360 is the king of battery. Well, we'll see what the Snapdragon X Elite and X Plus laptops have to offer, but right now, this is the king of the hill. Now, one of the things that surprised the heck out of me is the audio on this. We're looking at quad speakers on this, and the volume was very good, the mids were good, and there was some bass. Not something we normally see on a 2-in-1, especially on a business-focused 2-in-1, and this one actually sounds really good. It fills up the room pretty nicely. I want to know what you think, though. Of course, let me know in the comment section below. Now, let's give it a listen. Okay, people, let's bring it all home. What do I think about the HP EliteBook X360 1040 G11 here for 2024? I think they need to do a renaming of all this. And guess what? I think they are doing that. We'll talk about that soon. Excellent build quality, 2.8K OLED option that you can get. I don't have that one. Remember, if you want the maximum battery life and no glare and reflection, go with this Full HD Plus option. Up to 32 gigabytes of that very fast LPDDR5X RAM, dual channel memory, outstanding quad speakers, phenomenal battery life, the optional 5G modem, the good array of ports, the very, very comfortable keyboard and touchpad. They were excellent. HP Pen works pretty well, and it runs cool and quiet in the balance mode, although that is not the issue when you're running it under load. You'll notice a little bit of that fan noise, or a lot of it, depending on how sensitive you are. Now, the negatives here, you're going to get the soldered RAM. That is pretty much par for the course here in 2024. You also have to pay a very heavy premium to get this laptop, but again, businesses tend to buy these in bulk, and HP will give them some discounts, so just keep that in mind. But don't sleep on this HP EliteBook, especially when you compare it to the ThinkPads and the Dell Latitudes of this world, because the HP EliteBook is offering some of the best stuff we've seen in a business-focused convertible here for 2024. In fact, it's my favorite business-focused 2-in-1 convertible here for 2024, and that's saying a lot with competition from Lenovo and Dell. And that's why I'm going to give this a score of 92%, earning my editor's choice in the 2-in-1 business convertible category here for 2024. I highly recommend it.
So please hit the like button, please subscribe, please share this video. Don't forget to leave a comment in that comment section below. Let me know how I'm doing. Let me know if there's a device or something out there you think I should review. I'll do my best to try to make that happen. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and X, the platform formerly known as Twitter. And don't forget to check out my website, amdtechreviews.com. So until next time, this is Andrew, and I'll see you in the next video.